I still cannot comprehend why the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, is not prosecuting General Motors. They seem to be targeting other companies, such as Tesla, willy-nilly for this, the smallest things. But when it comes to General Motors and also Toyota making promises to their investors, the SEC doesn't care what those promises are or how many times they get broken. They simply think it's all okay. Now, General Motors has said it has now postponed production for the Silverado electric pickup truck. They claim that that's a decision they made only a few days ago. But my friends, that is a huge lie. That is just more nonsense from Mary Barra and her merry band of shit spinners. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. It's great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. General Motors have delayed the electric pickup, the Silverado, which I think sounds like a brilliant vehicle. I really love the specifications of it. It's got great range. It looks pretty good. It's got a good size to it. It's got a mid-gate. I love the mid-gate. There's some really cool features on this truck. It's got fast charging. The delayed production. Why have they done it? Well, they've come out with a reason which I believe is complete nonsense. I'm going to tell you what I think the real reason is for General Motors delaying production. GM said its decision to push back the start of Chevrolet Silverado EV and GMC Sierra EV production at the Orion assembly is not related to the ongoing UAW strike. Now, General Motors said on Tuesday it will push back the launch of electric pickup production at the Detroit area factory until late 2025. We're talking now years of delays. Strangely, Tesla have been bashed for years of delays with the Cybertruck, but everyone seems okay with it, with General Motors doing it, and with their EV production goals, which are obviously miles away from their predictions for years now. Anyway, General Motors said that electric vehicle demand and the need for engineering upgrades is the reason. GM is basically saying there's not enough demand. Now, General Motors has more than 150,000 pre-orders. Tesla has well over 1 million pre-orders, I believe 2 million pre-orders for the Cybertruck. There has never been a product, a vehicle in history with that much demand that was powered by gasoline or diesel. Never. So is the demand argument legitimate? Well, clearly it's not. Facts say it's complete nonsense. General Motors has the pre-orders itself. In fact, General Motors has never had 150,000 pre-orders for any vehicle ever. Anyway, the delay in starting output for the Chevrolet Silverado EV and the GMC Sierra EV at the Orion assembly plant is not related to the ongoing UAW strike, said General Motors. Rather, the move is meant to better manage capital investment while aligning with evolving EV demand. In addition, we have identified engineering improvements that we will implement to increase the profitability of our products. And there's the key, the profitability of our products. General Motors can't release this vehicle at the prices they promised and make a profit. They'd be making a loss selling them at these prices. So it has nothing to do with demand. It's about profitability. In light of the new negotiations with UAW and the cost for GM's workforce increasing substantially, profitability has never been a bigger issue than it is today. Keep in mind, guys, we've heard from all these investment analysts in Wall Street so many times now how in 2025, General Motors would surpass Tesla, and basically General Motors and Ford would begin to crush Tesla's sales. That would happen with almost guaranteed certainty in 2025. Mary Barra, CEO of General Motors, said this would happen. We're talking about EV production here, by the way, not just car production in general. But what are they going to say now? Are they going to say, sorry investors, we misled you. GM stock now has fallen 50% since we made these comments. We tried to tell you the truth. Did these investment analysts in Wall Street, who get paid a lot of money, by the way, a lot of them make more than $1 million a year. In fact, quite a lot more than $1 million a year. What are you getting when you pay for their advice? I mean, everyone knew this would happen. Anyone with a brain knew this would happen. General Motors weren't making a profit on their EVs. They've even said within the past 6 months, they can't make a profit selling EVs from 30 to 40,000. And we're still seeing the media say that General Motors will bring out a Chevy Equinox for $30,000 and crush Tesla. I mean, crush who? I don't care if they're saying crush Tesla, crush anyone, who cares? The point here is, this is complete nonsense. why is the media not held to some sort of account for the lies they keep on spreading? GM, Mary Barra, says to the media, guys, we can't make a profit selling a vehicle for anything below $40,000, but we will sell the Equinox for $30,000. Now, a simple deduction here says GM can't sell more than a few hundred or a few thousand Equinoxes, otherwise it loses immense amounts of money. So, reality is kicking in. About 1,000 employees at the Orion assembly plant will be able to transfer to other assembly plants in Michigan, including GM's Factory Zero in Detroit that already builds the Silverado EV along with the GMC Hummer EV pickup and SUV, the company said. Factory Zero is expected to add a second shift in 2024 when it will start building the Sierra EV as well, said GM. Now keep in mind, guys, GM are making these comments even though they know they get battery subsidies from the US government, which will cover probably 20% of the battery cost. So the government are paying for 20% of the battery cost, and General Motors are still saying, we won't make a profit. How much do they really lose on these vehicles, if that's the case? And the problem is, I don't see General Motors having a pathway to profitability. They don't have any plans at all for lithium iron phosphate batteries, which are significantly cheaper than the batteries that they manufacture in the United States in what will become unionized factories, paying more for staff. There's just no way, in my opinion, that there is a path to profitability unless GM accepts the facts, which are they need to be making a very large number of EVs in order to amortize the cost, right? Economies of scale. That's exactly what Tesla and BYD have been able to do. They accepted making a loss for a couple of years, a big loss, took a risk, and now they make a profit. General Motors and Ford, every other car manufacturer in the world that doesn't just make EVs, will have to take that risk at some point in time. They can't just keep on putting it off, which is what they're clearly hoping to do. The Orion assembly plant will be retooled to build electric trucks after production of the Chevy Bolt EV and EUV ends at the end of this year. And the plant was originally slated to come back online in the first quarter of 2025, said Gerald Johnson, GM's Executive Vice President of Global Manufacturing and Sustainability. However, it's clearly going to take them, they're saying now, 2 years to retool that plant. It's going to cost a lot of money as well. The delay in starting electric pickup production at the Orion assembly now means the plant could be down for 2 years. That's a long time. GM said last year it planned to spend $4 billion to prepare the plant for production of the Silverado and Sierra EVs, which use its proprietary Ultium battery platform. CEO Mary Barra has said that employment at the Orion assembly is expected to triple when it reopens for production for the Silverado. That gives you an idea, though, of just what cost is involved. GM is saying for this one factory, simply to retool the factory, not to rebuild it, simply to retool it, it's going to cost them more than $4 billion. Now, this is not the factory where they don't even make the motors there. They don't make a lot of things that go into these vehicles there. This is it's basically an assembly plant. And it cost $4 billion plus US dollars to retool. So this whole idea, right, that the media is still telling us that big companies like General Motors and Ford and Toyota have all the expertise in manufacturing cars. If they want to make EVs, they'll just turn around and do it within a few months and they'll simply swamp Tesla. This narrative is still commonplace. They're still making these comments, and I don't understand why it's okay for them to do this, why they aren't held to some kind of account for the truthfulness of their statements. The current Bolt EV and EUV built on GM's older battery technology will be phased out this year because it's relatively expensive compared to Ultium. But Mary Barra said on the company's second quarter earnings call in July that General Motors will resurrect the Bolt nameplate as an Ultium-based vehicle, though details have not yet been disclosed on when, where, or how that will happen. Guys, clearly General Motors and Ford, now that Ford have paused, will basically shut down half of F-150 electric vehicle production, are not just behind Tesla by a couple of years, they are behind Tesla by at least 10 years. This is a big difference between these companies. One of them basically makes smartphones. The other one makes old phones with all buttons all over them. But the thing is, transferring from making a phone like a Nokia 3310 to a smartphone is actually not really that big of a difference. It's different, but not enormously so. But the difference between making a compelling electric vehicle that you can make a profit off because it's a ground-up built EV using a structural battery pack, potentially gigacastings, which Toyota says it needs to do to compete, is enormous. The differences in production methods are massive. It's an entirely different world. Tesla, BYD, and other car companies have had to discover this themselves. That's what GM is basically just now learning. That shows you that they're many, many years behind. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.